My Hero All's Justice was just announced, and boy, I cannot tell you how happy I am. I was like a kid at Christmas when I seen this trailer, and it was the first trailer that they showed in this live stream. They started off so strong, and then it kind of fell off with every other game that they showed except for Digimon. But that got me to thinking I should revisit a video I said I was going to make, and that being the critiquing of One's Justice 2. Now, that being said, somebody in the last video I kind of did this with, I'll admit I didn't do a very good job, but that being said, I mostly cover PvP content on my channel, and, we're going to have PvP matches in this video. That being said, we are going to go over some offline content and overall things I think should be improved in the game, in the offline content experience. And then we're going to move into things fundamentally with characters that I think should be changed. Now, that also being said, I'm not going to show every character in the game because that would take forever, and I don't want this video to go on forever. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so now that we're here, you can see that this game carries pretty much your basic stuff when it comes to anime arena fighters, or pretty much any game. You have story mode, which one of the first things I'll go over that people didn't like, I find myself pretty much don't care, were the slideshows and just dialogue with cutscenes and whatnot. People want 3D animated, stuff. I didn't really care. I was here for more of the PvP experience. Missions are pretty much self-explanatory. You go in, fight the computer with random challenges and handicaps and whatnot. Free mode is free mode, and you just go in and kind of learn the computer at your own pace. Everything here is pretty much self-explanatory. One of the cool things about this game is the actual arcade mode. Now, in arcade mode, you get to pick from all the characters on the roster, excluding DLCs that you don't own, of course. And you go through a 3-card system, which is you'll see 3 cards pop up on your menu, and when you go into those 3 cards, there's 6 other cards. Now, every time you clear a card, the computer will get more and more difficult as you go along. I think this is a very good way to get people ready and familiar with the character to go online. Now, that being said, and this isn't just this game exclusively, I kind of wish that, online arena fighters, their computers were to be a little bit more difficult, because I don't feel like it's, going to do you much good to go in and fight the computer even here. And you'll be prepared for what people are going to do online. Now, you'll get the, the motions down, but other than that, I hope that they add to it, really. Now that we're back in the main menu, with this game comes customization. As you can see, some of my characters if not all of my characters actually displayed in the main menu are customized. Now, I hope that they give us a lot of outfits like, say, My Hero Rumble. And overall, I don't know if they'll get that many options, because I know that they're going to expand the roster, and I don't know how well that would make the game's performance, but hopefully it's something that is expanded on in the game, because it's a really good system that they got going on. The variety is really good, and other than that, the only thing I can sit here and say that's super great about the offline experience with the game is the fact that you do have photo mode. Now, that being said, that does kind of lead into some people like myself using photo mode for various reasons, like thumbnails and whatnot, and I think a lot of games should incorporate that and just make it a little bit easier, because most of the time it's smaller content creators that are playing these games a lot and kind of advertising them to people for the company a lot. And I think they should make it a little bit easier on the little guys, such as myself. Now that we're in training mode, we're going to go over a few more things in detail with specific characters that I personally feel need to be changed. Now, I don't think every character needs to be touched up or changed completely. I think most of the characters in the game are faithful to their anime slash manga counterparts. That being said, we are going to get into the bread and butter and pretty much what you yourself playing the online or offline experience are going to be using most of the time, which are yellow moves, red moves, and projectiles, as well as kind of talking over some play styles that could be a problem in the next game, and they most certainly are a problem in this one. But let's start off with yellow moves specifically. Now, yellow moves you're not going to see as much as red moves or projectiles in this game, but that does not mean they are not vital nonetheless to your gameplay. And what makes them vital is the fact that they are armored whenever you have that glowy, pissy yellow on you. You are armored, yes, but sometimes, depending on the situation you find yourself in, this could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how long you glow yellow. And, you know, say you're caught in a situation to where you haven't quite hit your opponent before you actually went into whatever frames start to damage the opponent with whatever respective character you're playing. Your character can maybe call an assist to slow your opponent down if they're going into a yellow move, to have more time to do other things or just a few more moments to react. And that's where having a long, glowing yellow move is not working out to your advantage. Now, say you have a character that's trying to be slowed down, it having a shorter duration is where that's going to help you out. So it's a very specific situation kind of deal. Now, this isn't something you can really whiff out with most characters because most characters have a very long activation with their yellow move. But yeah, unlike their counterpart, the red move, this you will see online quite a bit. The red move is the unblockable that pretty much every character has. And the three things that you need to remember about red moves are the tracking, the speed, and the distance on which they let you go. Now, that being said, as you know and can see on screen by the examples I've provided visually, that not every red move is created equal. There are some characters that have very, very fast red moves, and this is what you want in the game. Unfortunately, some characters like All For One and All Might have, for some reason, really, really slow and poor tracking red moves. Now, this is something that is a little tricky because, yes, I think that all characters need this, of course, but maybe tone down the tracking of certain characters or up the framework of other characters like All For One and All Might, for an example. They should not be as bad of characters as they are, but it's just how it works out, and I'll get into that a little later on in the video. But yeah, either make everyone have faster frames on their red moves or make everyone have slower red moves. That's pretty much the cure that I personally can really think up to come with. I wouldn't say taking them out of the game would be a good decision, because then you'll just have a lot of people just holding down their guard and waiting and waiting and waiting, and that's not good. Last thing I want to get into before we jump into these PvP matches that I got as examples to what I've been talking about this entire time is projectile and projectile spam, which you'll see a lot in these next matches coming up. Yes, in this game, this was a staple that a lot of people didn't like, was how much you could spam someone in a match. Now, that being said, I don't think these are unfaithful to the characters, but what I do think is that there should be some sort of cooldown duration on some of this stuff that you can do, make it to where they can't do it just all the time. Like in the anime, there were inherent backfalls to Bakugo using his explosions too much. There was inherent backfalls to Endeavor using his flames too much. They tried to recreate this with Danky and some of the, I think one of the Dekus, where they get stunned for a long period of time and you kind of have to think your way around this. This is something you probably need to incorporate with a lot of different characters that can projectile spam like they do in this game. And it's just also one of those sadly very, very heavily relied upon strategies for new and lower level players. But that being said, also you have characters that, have, all the kit, but they sadly are not good in this game, such as All For One, All Might, and strangely enough, Full Power Deku. These characters, their startup frames are just awful. I think these are honestly the 3 characters that need to be reworked the hardest in the game. And just they're not, I really don't think they should be as bad in the game as they are, but we are getting new characters and new versions of these characters in the next game, so hopefully they get reworked slash new character models altogether, honestly, because either one, it needs to be something that you can't rely upon in the match as heavily as it is in this game, in the next game. And some characters, just their framework needs to be reworked. It takes too long to do certain things with One For All Might, and Full Power Deku, as well as a few other characters, but these are the characters I'm most familiar with. Now, let's cut into these PvP matches and go over them and critique them a little bit. Now, I'm going to get into these and go over them and just kind of go over a lot of stuff just all together while, you guys are watching and I'm rambling about things. But, yeah, let's hop into it.
Alright, this first match that I'm showing between me and this Kendo, that one of the troll spin, as you see there, which made me not feel too bad about playing the way I was playing, to showcase the issues with some of the characters in the game, such as this one, is that Mina's red move is extremely good. As you can see, it gives you a great deal of tracking and distance, and it allows you to pretty much get into really, really good setups. And just overall, it's one of the red moves in the game I feel should be changed. Nothing much more about her kit really needs to be worked on. Her projectiles are kind of annoying, and it doesn't really make sense on how she's laying an acid wall down and it's staying there. But most of the time, whenever you get into matches with this character, you're gonna have them run away, wait until they're safe, lay and throw their acid around, and pretty much just red move the ever-loving shit out of you. I've been so irritated with people online using this character because a lot of the, and I shit you not, and I'm not even doing it as much as I could be here with red moving and just utilizing how good of a tool that is. But I've had people to where that's literally literally all they do. And as you can see, it's insane. It even caught her in the air whenever I feel like I shouldn't have got that there. But it's just, this character is one of the ones that needs slight critiquing, but in just the slight things you can do with the character, you're gonna win matches if you use these 2 tools that she commonly, has people use online with her. But this Kendo here is actually doing a pretty good job at, running to the side and avoiding my projectiles, and tries her damnedest to pull it back and pretty much gets me in the +2. But yeah, other than that, there's a few other characters like Twice that has insane tracking, or say fucking Uraraka, you'll see her in just a minute. She has more speed than tracking and distance, but yeah, no. I mean, her spin here is not really something I feel needs to be reworked, because, just avoid it, and it's pretty much just a long duration of a combo. Her forward projectile, where she spews out the acid, that one's, that's not really good. So, like I said, this character doesn't really need to be reworked entirely, just a little touch-ups here and there, as well as a few other characters like it. I know that Gran Torino, he has a red move that travels almost the entire, depending on what stage that you get, you're going to have his red move literally travels the entire distance of just the entire stage. And here, I'm not even really going to hold you that, she did pull it back for one round, but I ultimately started to have to really rely on the red move to win this, and she started to kind of figure out that she could, knock me out of mine, and mine wasn't going to have that much distance if she started dodging in and out. And some points you can't sit here and just whiff it. You're going to be punished. But it just leads into the point of it's too relied upon in this game, and just so many players sit here and will sit there and not move. I've had matches where the player will not move, will not do anything, and just hold down, wait, and guard until they just get out of whatever the hell you're trying to do, and just wait for you to whiff shit. That's honestly a really big problem in this game. It's just kind of the dodging in and out option, and overall just how you can kind of just go in and out, in and out, in and out. But yeah, no, it's overall, she's only got a few things with her that she really needs to be reworked, and she's a little bit better than I think she should be in the tier list of things. And that's ultimately why I'm not, going and showing and critiquing every single character, because a lot of these characters, play the same, but it's in the little differences between all these little details I've been going over that make them, some characters get used way more than others and some don't. Such as Uraraka here as another really good example. Her slower yellow move, as you can see, it'll keep you in the air for a really long time. I think the duration of you being in the air, the time needs to be changed, as well as for regular, just on the ground red move. The frames on that are ridiculously fast, as you'll see in this match. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I didn't bother going over every single character in the game, because a lot of them play very, very similar. Some of them don't even have projectiles, and that's where it does differ. But ultimately, there are these few select characters with these just ridiculous god frames that ultimately I feel need to be changed. Such as, say, the exchange here. I don't really feel like it's that good to sit here and have All For One having, this hard a time with Uraraka of all characters, and just have the game reflect the series just a little bit more. Now, they may do that with these new updated characters that they're bringing in from the series, such as pretty sure that they're bringing in a new version of All Might and All For One. Without spoilers, there's probably going to be new versions of most of the characters on the roster. I just hope that the characters that are really good in the series, or quote-unquote overpowered or the best, do kind of reflect that more in the next game. And it's just, you're also going to solve the problem of sitting here having just one or two or three characters played. I know in a lot of the tournaments that GlobQ holds that you will mainly see Uraraka and Bakugo. Mainly. I'm not saying that you can't go and win against these characters, but with people who know what they're doing, it's very unlikely to pick a low-tier character, say, the characters I play, and win and go up against them. And I'm not even gonna, hold you. There have been times online, even with this match, where I'll see a specific individual. I ran into them because, the game doesn't have a lot of players on it, or at least not that much right now. And I will literally just not try. I'll just either, one, if it's someone that I literally know I cannot beat and cannot touch, because I've been full-affected in this game, I will just really just nonchalantly really not try. And that's sadly
something with this game that you have to deal with. Is just certain characters not adding up with certain things. And also, speaking of which, honestly, I think her name is Jiro or whatever her name is. I can't remember. I don't honestly like this character. I didn't really pay attention to her in the anime. I have no idea why they added her to this game. And she is, oh my god, she's one of the characters that needs to be reworked the most in this game. Because as you can see, her little net goes through everything, literally almost everything in the game. I haven't went down and gotten to the point of just testing, but I'm fairly certain it's one of the best projectiles in the game. It's slow, I'll give you that, but it nothing's going through it, and it's going to continue through whatever it's going, past or whatnot. Now, again, as far as I know, this character didn't do that much in the show and whatnot, and I figured this wouldn't have been one of the characters they added as a DLC.
But anime games, for some reason, will do that. Add in characters that you wouldn't really expect or didn't really even want in this case. In the games that we just, I don't know, it's just out of the blue type, hey, why would you do that kind of thing? And one of the weird things, I guess it's not weird because I looked up or tried to find someone giving some kind of hint to the roster or specifically what it would entail in the next game, and I saw a list, and none of the actual DLC characters were on that list. Now, I'm sure that that's not the case, and they'll probably add in all of the DLC characters just defaultly into the base roster, but this is honestly one of those characters that I would be completely fine with without having in the game at all. And that's taking from the perspective of, yeah, I think she's a really good assist, but honestly, she didn't do anything in the anime. She didn't have really any kind of circumstance anywhere, as far as I know. She had that one episode where she fought Ida, I'm pretty sure, and advertised her just tools and gadgets and whatnot, and yeah, that's neat as like a filler episode, but that was kind of insulting towards Ida. But yeah, no, she's one of the characters I would say we could probably do without altogether. Some of the other characters that I'm hoping to see, I mean, one of the characters being Metal Suit All Might. Spoilers, my bad. But that being like Sugar Rush, or I'm pretty sure that it's confirmed that most, if not all, of Class 1A is going to be in the game. I don't know how that's going to work out with Invisible Girl. Like, I don't know what she's going to do, really, in this. But as far as I know, that was something that was said, that most of Class 1A was going to be in this. I have no idea how they're going to incorporate certain characters like that. I mean, Sugar Rush will be pretty much a melee character. I don't see much happening there along the lines of just, hey, creativity with the character. You could give him something that makes him, some kind of move you can do during the match, or something to where, he eats sugar and he becomes stronger and does more damage, or maybe he gets faster a little bit. I don't know, but that would, I would sit here and say that it would make a little bit more sense to have, him do that, but I don't think getting him, giving him faster frames would make a little bit more sense, because I don't think that was, anything that he received while eating, sugar in the base series. But, yeah, no, also give us characters that aren't in just Class 1A, that are from the other classes, because there's a lot of other interesting characters with interesting quirks we didn't really get to see a lot in the anime that I know people that really, really wanted to see, but ultimately didn't get to. And there's just a plethora of different interesting characters in the series that they could pretty much put in this game.
a lot like the pro heroes. Like, I'm hoping that they add a lot of those into this game as well. But yeah, we'll see. This next match that you're seeing is a very good example as to pretty much why there's just this, hey, dodge in, dodge out type stigma with the game, and as well as just the floating mechanics making things a little bit more difficult with things. This was a match that I had done trying to, spam with full power overhaul, and ran into a Night Eye that actually knew what he was doing when it comes to spamming. Because as you can see, that's pretty much all we're doing is running around trying to play distance as much as we can. And just overall, this is a very heavily relied upon strategy in this game. And just the whole dodging in and out is something that's also done. It's not being too much done here because there's no need with both of our projectiles the way they are. But with other characters that don't heavily rely upon projectiles, say like Night Eye, but also Dobby or the Tornado Kid. Can't remember his name again for the life of me, but these are a few examples of characters that do like play just back, run, and spam you. I mean, there are some characters in the game that can play both sides, like mix it up with close range and distance, but for the most part, there's a lot of characters that you just have to run and do stuff and use whatever little gimmick you've got to pretty much just stay away from your opponent as hard as you can. And this is something that I know that a lot of people disliked about the game. And the other thing was the floating mechanic. I mean, you can try and change that, but that was honestly something that I didn't mind in the game. And I don't know how much you can change that without just kind of like messing with the game entirely. I know that they're, since they're adding in switching like between your characters and not just having them as assists, that's going to change a lot of things just in itself. But the floating mechanic and just the way gravity works is kind of tricky to work with. In that saying, it would be nice to sit here and not have it as easily relied upon of a strategy to sit here and just dodge in and out or spam and run. Again, I don't know how you would incorporate certain characters to be limited in how much they spam, such as Night Eye here. But say like in Bleach, you could give them a certain number before they have to stop and recharge with whatever they're doing. That way, if you have a character with slower frames or their projectiles aren't as good as the character you're facing, it gives you more of a fair opportunity to get in and move in on your opponent and open them up to a combo you may want to do. Now, speaking of combos in this game, I feel like I didn't really need to touch on those too much because I feel like it was a pretty good system they had in place. I mean, that kind of did work into the floating mechanic with combos and all that jazz, because honestly, this game is one of those games that allows you to kind of make your own combos, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. But, I mean, I get that it's not for everybody, and it is a learning curve with, some of the delay with certain animations and whatnot. And honestly, I get that it's not everybody's jazz, but one of the other things that is a really big point in, pretty much any game is the, netcode. And that'll be the last thing I talk about during this last match that I'm showing, because it's getting about that time. But, yeah, netcode in this game was also not really that bad, and that's taking into an account that this game also, is backwards compatible with the old generation console of PS4 and whatnot, respectively, But sadly, this is where I have to say nay and go. I'm hoping that the rumors are true and the next game it's not going to be backwards compatible with PS4 or Xbox One or whatnot, because it's honestly contributory to a lot of the netcode problems that most anime games have just altogether, as well as pretty much any game, honestly. it's one of those things that, you know, you probably need to just go ahead and, you know, nip it in the bud, because honestly, as far as I know, I mean, in the next few years, we're going to be seeing probably advertisements for PS6. It's already in development and being talked about, so yeah, it's probably high time we get, you know, the PS4 backwards compatible BS out of here. And then that'll probably help a lot of things out with the game and all that jazz. But one of the other things that I also see people, you know, bitch about a lot is make it crossplay, and you don't want this, okay? One of the reasons why you don't want this is because, one, you're probably going to have to deal with hackers on a regular basis, even on your console, and that's going to become a pain in the ass. And number two is just, it's going to add into the netcode being trash. Like, hopefully it's not going to be trash when the game comes out, but there is probably going to be problems. I'm not even going to lie about it. And just overall, like, everything that's going on screen and with the maps is also something to take into an account. Is like, whatever the console's visually calculating, you know, you got to see that and stuff. But yeah, I think that'll about do it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and whatnot. Hopefully, guys, I didn't bore you and you found this helpful and whatnot. But yeah, hopefully these changes come in the next game. I'm gonna get out of here and let you guys get to the rest of your day. Thank you so much if you stuck around to the last portion of this video, and thank you so much for your, you know, love and support. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.